All right, this is a second video for notes. I believe this is 85. We're still talking about special right triangles, but this time we're going to talk about 30, 60, 90 right triangle. And in 30, 60, 90 right triangle, we have three, right? 1, 2, 3 different angle measures. So each side of the triangle is going to be something different. So here's how the relationship works. The side opposite the 60-degree angle is 3 times larger than the side opposite the 30-degree angle. And the hypotenuse is twice the length of the side opposite the 30-degree angle. So the best way to do this is if you can know or be given the side opposite the 30, that is the one everything is based off of. So I'm going to draw myself a little triangle off to the side and give you this in generic terms. All right, I'm going to put a little triangle. There we go. I'm going to make that my 30-degree angle. I'm going to make that my 60-degree angle. So here's my 30-degree angle. The side opposite that is going to be the shortest side, and that is the one that everything is based off of. That is my x. Now, I tend to do this out of order from what was written there, which is no big deal. But the next thing I want to do is find the hypotenuse. So here's my right angle, right? There's my arrow, dot, 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 across the triangle. That's the hypotenuse. That is double the shortest side. So whatever this side is, I'm going to double it up to get that side. All right, double it. So 2 times x. And then the third side, which is the side opposite the 60. So here's my 60. There's the side opposite. That is x times root 3. And the reason I do that is it kind of helps you remember the order my numbers are used. So this is x. My second thing I'm looking for is 2x. And then the third thing I'm looking for is x root 3. It's the way my mind works. It helps me out. It's worked for years for me. If it doesn't work for you, figure out what does, okay? So relationship-wise, here's what I'm going to do. And again, this is what I like to do after I pick a nifty color here. So let's see. My 30-degree angle is right here. So opposite, that's going to be x. My hypotenuse, right, there's my right angle. So this is the hypotenuse. That's going to be 2 times x. And then, of course, the third side is x root 3. So I know this is x. I know what 3 is. That was the one that's given to me. So each of these places where I have an x, it just means 3. So 2x means 2 times 3. Well, that's going to be 6. All right. And then here where I have an x, again, I'm going to replace it with a 3. So that's going to be 3 root 3. That I can't multiply, unfortunately. Or fortunately, because that means it's just done. All right. So the hypotenuse is 6, and the side opposite the 60 is 3 root 3. All right, let's go ahead and slide on down and do some more work with these. Let's see, find the missing sides in the 30, 60, 90s. I'll leave these 2 up. So in this particular triangle, the one on the left side here, right, we've got the 30, 60. Again, I like labeling the inside. So opposite the 30 is x, opposite the right angle is 2x, and then opposite the 60 is x root 3. So I know my shortest side here. Love when that happens because that makes things just flow a little bit better. So for the hypotenuse, I'm going to do 2 times that side of 2. So that's going to get me 4. And then the side opposite the 60, I'm going to replace x with 2, and that becomes 2 root 3. So hypotenuse value and a leg value. All right, so that one's done. If I go to the one on the right here, I'm not given the shortest side this time. That's okay, right? I can work with that. So this is going to be labeling here x, 2x, and of course x root 3. So I'm going to do the same thing I did with the 45/45s, which I'm going to look for the side I know and what I have it labeled as, which in this case is 2x. So 8 is equal to 2x. If I divide both sides by 2, I'm going to get x is equal to, well, 4. Okay, so that means that this side is going to be 4, right? Because that side is labeled as x, and x is 4. And then right here where I have x root 3, I'm going to replace x with 4, and then it becomes 4 root 3. All right, so that side's 4, that side's 4 root 3. Again, it's kind of hard to show work sometimes with these, but this work down here could work for you. Maybe these labels on the inside work for you. Make it happen. All right, last one. I'll leave this one to the side here. Last one in this little set here, we've got 30, 60, 90, of course. And like I do all the time, I'm going to label the inside. Opposite 30 is x. Opposite the 90 is 2x. Opposite the 60 is x root 3. And again, I'm not given the shortest side, so I want to figure this one out relatively quickly. So I'm going to go with the one I do know. So 7 root 3 is equal to x root 3. So of course, to solve for x, I need to divide by root 3. Divide by root 3. And I'm going to figure out that x is equal to 7, which is great. So where I have x, that's 7. The hypotenuse is going to be 2 times 7. So that's going to be, whoops, I don't know what I was starting to write there. But that's going to be 14. All right, so there's my 7. There's my 14. I figured out all the sides. That's what I'm looking for. All right, there's 2 more little triangles here that we're going to get through. All of these, by the way, are 30, 60, 90s. And yes, I think I said this before for the 45, 45, but these relationships only work if you have a 30, 60, 90. All right, so side opposite 30 is x, hypotenuse is 2x, opposite 60 is x root 3. And same thing I said in the 45, 45. This is not a typo. Right? This side does not have to have root 3 as part of its length. What it means is whatever this length was for x, when I multiply it times root 3, that's the number I get. That's all that means. So let's do a little bit of a setup here for an equation. I know that 10 is equal to x root 3. So to solve for x, I'm going to divide both sides by root 3. All right, so I get x is equal to, of course, 10 over root 3. I do not appreciate the fact that I have a root in the denominator, so I'm going to rationalize that out. So I'm going to multiply by root 3, top and bottom. Okay, I'll also shrink this since I write huge. So that's going to be 10 root 3 over root 3 squared, right? Because I took root 3 times root 3, that's root 3 squared. But wait a minute, square and square root cancel each other out. So what I'm left with is 10 root 3 over 3. And that is what x is equal to. And no, I can't reduce that fraction. So this side is 10 root 3 over 3. Yes, we can get weird answers like that. And it's okay. But then for the, not the denominator, try again. The hypotenuse, what I want to do is take that value for x, and I want to multiply it. Whoops, I'm going to try and say 2, but then write 3. That didn't work well. I'm going to multiply it by 2. Now, this 2 right here, if you want to write it as a fraction, remind yourself, that's over 1. So that means we're going to take 2 times 10 root 3. That would be 20 root 3. And I need to take 1 times 3 for the denominators, which means I'm going to get 3 there. Okay, be careful with those that you don't multiply the 2 times both the top and the bottom. That's not how multiplication of fractions works. Okay, all right, last little fraction here. I say little fraction, but the last fraction. Let's go ahead and label the insides. So x, 2x, x root 3. Okay, love that. And again, not as obvious of an answer as some of them can be. So off to the side, I'm gonna do a little bit of work. All right, so let's see what we got here. We've got 12 is equal to x root 3. Divide both sides by root 3. There we go, root 3. So x is equal to 12 over root 3. Not a huge fan. So let's go ahead and rationalize. So times by root 3 times by root 3. So it's going to be 12 root 3 over root 3 squared, which some of you may have already picked up on. Oh, that means it's just going to turn into 3. True statement. Okay, so 12 root 3 over the square and the square root cancel. What we're supposed to do just leaves you the number 3. So 12 over 3 can be reduced. Again, I'm saying 12 and I want to write something else. 12 over 3 can be reduced to 4 root 3. There we go. All right, so this means when I now know what x is, that's this edge of the triangle, right? This length over here is going to be 4 root 3. And then I want to take that x value. I'm going to multiply it times 2. I'm having issues writing and saying things at the different times. All right, there we go, 4 root 3. So 2 times 4 root 3 is going to turn into 8 root 3. There we go. Now I got all the pieces. So there's 8 root 3 and 4 root 3. All right, so that's all of the information for 30, 60, 90s. As always with these problems, if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me and let me know. I'll see you in the next video.